And
are we on?
All right, I think we should probably sit up.
Hey, Guru, turn my mic up.
Oh my God! All right, here we go. All right, episode 1.5.5.
Take 3.
Goodness gracious! All right, you are now listening to the Ox
and the Opus.
Episode 1.
But I don't think it matters which is
Genesis.
the Opus or which one is the Ox.
Correct. And I don't have my phone with me to remember, but I think we just do introductions pretty much.
Yeah. You want to start it off?
Maybe that's where the bad luck happened. Maybe you started off.
You want me to start it off?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So, my name is Victor, a.k.a. Vic, a.k.a. Golden Gringo. We picked up on that name because we ended up eating like a chicken sandwich from a certain restaurant over at North Hills. I think it's called Viva
La Chicken.
Something like that. But it's,
Viva La Yard Pimp.
It's similar to Alpaca. Anyways, their chicken sandwich name was Golden Gringo. And I told Danny that for the podcast, that's what I'm running with. I'm running with the Golden Gringo. So, I was born in Panama. My parents were in the Army. Down there, they were stationed out there. So I was born on an Army base in Panama. And somehow, my parents divorced. So me and my brother, we were living between North Carolina and New York. Most of the time we stayed in New York. A lot of times we just visited, North Carolina, visited my mother, because my mother is from Winston-Salem. So when people ask me, like, what nationality am I tell them that, hey, I'm half Winston-Salem white and half Puerto Rican. But, some people, they look at me like as though I look like a Starbucks coffee called a mulatto.
Oh, my God. There it goes.
So yeah, my dad's side of the family lives in New York, and my mom's side of the family lives in North Carolina, primarily Winston-Salem. So I moved.
But you have ties to North Carolina before you just moving there.
Yeah, and I used to always come and visit, like during like Christmas breaks, summer breaks, and I always enjoyed it. It felt good to get away from the city, from New York City.
City life is the only life I know.
Welcome to New York City.
New York City.
And so finally when I graduated from high school in 98, I ended up moving down to North Carolina permanently. Ended up going to a community college, Vance Granville Community College out in Henderson, Butner, Creedmoor area.
Shout out Vance Granville Community. Raiders. Are they the Raiders?
Got my degree, my 2-year degree in 4 years.
Oh, are they the Raiders, Vance Granville? Oh, okay.
The reason why I did 4 years is because, I was working a job as well. So, I had to do school part-time a little bit.
Man, don't be lying. Just say, like, it took you 4 years.
No. Right. I mean, it's the same thing, like, recently when I got my biomedical equipment technology degree, at Durham Tech. Whoop, whoop.
Durham Tech Raiders. Are they the Raiders?
No, I don't think so.
Sign went to Vance Granville. She called it Vance Grandel. She would be like, Vance Grandel? I was like, who in the hell is Vance Grandel? I didn't know, and then I put 2 and 2 together. It's the school, the community college out there, right?
Yeah.
She was going to be X-ray tech or something. All right, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And, so, yeah, I did that, a 2-year degree in 4 years again because I was working full-time. When I got my degree, my first degree, it was in information systems, dealing with computers. But somehow I ended up getting comfortable with the job that I had at the time, which was with a certain medical company, delivering medical equipment to patients for them to go home with. And, but that's where, me and Danny met, because he had them beats and I had them rhymes. And my name was Jack Slade.
How many names you got? Okay, so I'm gonna pick up my story and then I'll tie it in
like
until
I'm all
we
over
get.
The place with my
No,
story.
that's how it should be. So my name's Danny, but I'm gonna go by King Conundrum is what I go by for the podcast. I am from the Sand Hills of North Carolina. That's
Time. So you kept on saying that's like the first 2 takes too. Sand Hills, like, is it?
So
really Sand Hills out
that's
there?
what they call it. That's just the segment, the part of North Carolina, like the Piedmont. Where we're at now is the Piedmont.
I thought the Piedmont is over by the like Greensboro, Winston-Salem.
It's all that whole middle part of North Carolina from the top to the bottom.
Huh.
Well, the top to the bottom, out. But the Sandhills is right there where Fayetteville, maybe it goes out to Lumberton and it goes to like Rockingham. It goes right to Roseboro, down to the border of South Carolina. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Then the mountains are the mountains, and then coastal plains, you got all that. So anyway, so I'm from the Sandhills. That's just the easiest way to say it. Sandhill. Went to Fayetteville State when I graduated. Okay. Yeah. Oh my God. I left once I graduated from Fayetteville State, which is HBCU, Bronco Pride, and then I moved here to Raleigh, and I was working for the government. Man, we did this conversation like 3 or 4 times. Yeah. Just FYI, this is our 3rd take on this. This is our first episode of the Ox.
Oh, and the Opus.
And the first 2 did not take, man. You ever try to get a pit bull pregnant? That's kind of what it's like. You don't know if it's going to take or not. It did not take. Neither one of them. And I don't know. We recorded a full episode and it just... Something happened with the recording app.
We just didn't read the details properly.
Yeah. But even then it should have recorded something. Yeah. And it ain't recording anything. Anyway, so graduated from Fayetteville State. Moved to Raleigh. Worked for the government. I was drawing maps. I went to Eastern North Carolina and dealt with some of the farmers. I went to the airports and dealt with, I was trying to catch the Japanese beetle and Egyptian bow leaf worm. These insects are pests. If they're eating up your crops, and in North Carolina primarily, at one point, I don't know what it is now with all the growth, was an agricultural state. And farming was the main source of income here, I would say.
You had a lot of the
tobacco.
Yeah,
tobacco is the main thing.
Cotton too, right?
Cotton, but tobacco is the main thing. So you got insects eating up your tobacco plants, you ain't making no money. And you're not going to thrive in North Carolina, at least at the time. It's definitely changed a lot. So that didn't work out. I ended up at this company.
You know what's crazy?
What?
It's like as though we went from like the tobacco and cotton to now like tech.
Tech and...
Being more like a tech area.
Yeah.
Right.
This area did, but it was enough to shift the state over. Yeah. So, and that could be some future episodes we talk with. But I lost where I was at. That didn't work out. I ended up at this company that we won't mention, and it was a gift and a curse, because I would say there were, and I said it the first time we recorded this, I wanted to call them undertones, but these were overtones of just, I want to say prejudice and some mild racism. I don't know. That's just my opinion and my perspective on it. That's how it felt. People were definitely mishandled, mistreated, and there were a lot of practices put into action that I don't agree with. I didn't agree with at the time. And to put it all in perspective, I am 42 years old now. I'm referencing a time when I was 25. You were 20. We're not too.
Man, I met you when I was 25. So.
That's right, because.
Now I'm 39, about to be 40.
Yeah,
so.
And I'm 42. So if that gives you a reference point for the timeline we're discussing. Anyway, I wound up at this company, doing what we did, and that's where
delivering medical equipment.
Yeah. No, I was working on CPAPs at the time.
And that's still the same thing.
So same difference. And lo and behold, one of the worst jobs I had ended up being a huge blessing, because a lot of the guys that I met there are I consider them lifelong friends and family. Like I still talk to these guys and still hang out with them. First time I saw Vic, I said, "Oh, there goes a mulatto." That was my frame of thinking back then. I'm of mixed heritage as well, but again, that's how I was just raised. Like, you look at people, you assess them for what race or ethnicity you are.
Make your little assumption.
Yeah. And in North Carolina back in the day, you were either black or white or Mexican. Yeah. You could be Hawaiian, black, white, Mexican, or Chinese is how they're going to do, or how they would have done it back in the day. So I looked and I just, oh, that's a mulatto. I just figured he was black and he was white. He seemed to take, 50-50 from both both parts of his parents. That's just the main thing that stuck out about you to me. I remember meeting Damon. There's just, Richard. Richard's another interesting story. Richard he would not speak with me. I spoke to him several times when I started that job. You're the new guy. You're like, hey, hi, how are you? Hello, hi. And just one day out the blue, he just laughed at something I said about a month into it, and then we became friends. So we hope to get Richard on the podcast at some point. You'll enjoy that one. Richard's a great guy. Anyway, so
he'll if we get him on the show, the one thing that he'll get back into talking about is this old company.
Yeah, that's his thing. He cannot survive without
we can't
trash talking
have
the company.
Like a good sit down to eat or whatever without him talking about this old company.
Do you know I was the hardest working man there? I'm not bragging or anything. That's how he talks. But yeah, so anyways, I started there and I made music. I used to rhyme. I still rhyme. Allow me to display some verses for you.
Please hammer it on.
My name is synonymous with Mr. Anonymous. I tap you in the head with the mic, you're a rhinoceros. Ooh. Anything you said before was preposterous. Imposters, us, I dare say not.
Not.
Okay, that's the best I could do. So, and then I made beats. Victor was rapping under the username
Jack
Slade, and he purchased 2 beats. We hope to upload one of those songs.
Yeah, one of them I thought I was gonna have a hit. Like I thought it was gonna be gone, but
it was a smash single in the kitchen.
But I told myself that, when I hit that age of like 25, 26, it's a wrap. Like I wasn't gonna rap anymore and waste my time. Because, back then, you was in search of getting like a label deal. Whereas like now, you really don't need a label deal. You could do everything like independently.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like I want to get back into it and be no, I don't.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. I still do those things. And I don't pursue it, with any intention of going anywhere besides just some self-satisfaction and satisfying that creative.
When you get up to this age, you just have like a lot of hobbies. Like with me, it's taking pictures, videos, and, doing videography, photography stuff, Yeah. That's
just one of them things. So that sort of ties in. We could go a little bit into why. So that kind of brings us a perfect segue into why do a podcast. Why do it when there's a million others out there? That's very true. But those other million people aren't us.
But I wonder, like, locally, do we have a lot of podcasts that talk about local stuff?
I don't think so. I think now, and I think that has a lot to do with the state of affairs here. North Carolina's big business now. So if anything, you might see people doing podcasts just saying, hey, we're from here and this is the spot to be at now. But I don't think they're dealing with local issues outside the news.
Yeah.
Not from this perspective anyway. But so why do the podcast? I think this, for me, is just an opportunity to get that creativity out. You can be 80 years old and doing a podcast. Podcast is always relevant, especially the format we're running with is just table talk, right?
Yeah.
It's always conversation, and just the use of language itself will always be relevant. We're just recording a conversation, basically, and trying to have it formulated in such a way that we can make it presentable and digestible.
Yeah. I mean, this is like the new talk radio.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it is. I mean, this is where it's going. I wonder what it's going to be like in the future, for podcasts. I mean, I don't know if they will have any more radio.
I don't think there's no need for it. At some point, you're going to get to where you can just select what type of podcast you want to listen to, as in, I just want to hear about yoga all day, and it'll bring up, if it ain't already like that, but, so yeah, and I think that kind of forces us to kind of spend time together, work on something. A goal would be to just do 2 of these a month and just keep doing them and getting better at it and just making the content better. And the name, the Ox and the Opus, I just think the name will sort of at least keep you in your tracks for a second to make you interested enough to listen. And then you can decide you don't want to listen once you hear the foolishness that goes on. I also think that it sounds like a good brand name. I can see a hat what's in style? The snapback cap?
I don't know. Oh,
Toboggans?
It was the dad hats.
Yeah, okay. You
Recently.
get trucker hats. Trucker hats always been in
hats,
style, kind of, or for here anyway. Can't you see like the Ox and the
the
Opus?
5-panel hats.
Yeah, the Ox and the Opus with some sort of symbol.
With a actual ox, and then I don't even know what an opus looks like.
Well, Opus is more like an
Expression.
It's just the creative part of the
creative
podcast.
Yeah.
And that could be like the quill, the ox, the plus sign in the quill, feather tip pen thing. That could be the logo. Just anyway, I think that's a good brand name, and I think it's enough to pique your interest just off the name alone. Which I tested that name out with a few people, and people were like, "Well, I think the consensus was the Ox and the Opus. I hope it lives up to its name." So we won't live up to the name already. I can tell you that. But yeah, so that was good. So that would be the main reasons, at least for me.
Did you explain the whole Ox and the Opus? Like
I did.
You did.
I did, and they were like, "Oh, cool." They were more.
No. I'm talking about as far as on this podcast.
Oh no! So to me, the Ox and the Opus, I felt like it was me and Vic, me and Golden Gringo were going to do this, and I felt like we should do a name that was indicative of two people, two personalities. So we could say Live Guys, or the Fresh Boys, or
that's them.
The Baby Powder Blues. I get it, but I just felt like it needed to be a little more hard line, like the blank and the blank. You know, there were some like kung fu movies back in the day, the Cobra and the Flying Fist. You know, I was thinking along those terms. So the ox is not a bull, but it's strong like a bull, but it's more intelligent than a bull. You heard the expression, a bull in the china shop. That just... No. Okay.
Sorry.
So there's an expression called the bull, like a bull in a china shop. Just look it up, and we'll save some minutes on this. And so, you know, that's where the ox comes in at. And then the opus is like that creative side, whether it's a written submission, some literary work, or an audio submission just to the world or for yourself. And that's the creative side of the podcast. And I think for me, that's what I'd like for us to kind of go over, like a little bit of technology, a little bit of current events, real life, what else? Music, movies, TV shows.
And it's not just going to be, I mean, for the most part, it's just going to be me and Danny. So Danny, you know, brought this idea to me, and, you know, it was interesting. You know, I'm just going to, you know, ride along like Kevin Hart. I think I said that in the first 2 episodes. But we also going to have, like, you know, featured guests on here as well. Now, when I say featured guests, I'm not talking to anybody like famous or, you know, any celebrity or anything like that. Like, we really want to have like featured guests as far as like that are local. I mean, you don't
like nobodies. We want people that are nobodies.
Yeah, you don't even have to be a celebrity within the triangle area. Like, we just want, you know,
nobody. Just you're nothing. You're
or you
nobody.
Could be somebody, but act like you're nobody.
You're nobody. We want nobody.
Like if you come on our show, you're not going to talk about
you're nobody special.
What you got on.
You ain't nobody special.
You know what you got going on as far as, you know, musically or whatever you do. Because we want you to talk about your thoughts and your perspective on the topics that we talk about in that episode.
We just want people to dig in on the conversation with us.
Yeah.
And that provides us a third, fourth, fifth perspective on something that you may see the same way or exactly the opposite. The whole point is just to involve yourself in the conversation.
Yeah. I mean, you might be able to do a little, like, 1 minute, 30-second plug about yourself or whatever. But then after that, we're talking about the topic.
Well, let's compare this first episode to number 99. And let's see how far it's grown and changed and morphed into whatever it is. Yeah. Now, if you are one of the folks that's going to be on here participating, don't take it personal. Don't take it personal, because I meant nobody as in, well, nobody. I don't want a Kevin Hart on here until we start getting... Matter of fact, that reminds me. Let's go ahead and segue into... Let's get a word from our sponsors. We ain't got no sponsors. We'll do that. I think we should do that every episode until a sponsor picks us up. But okay, so with that podcast, and that's the meaning, that's the intent. Is that what you saw or what you see for this? Basically, it's just table talk on all these things.
Yeah. I mean, it's almost like a Jada Pickett, Pickett or whatever.
Either one.
type of red talk, but it's more so our type of table, whatever that means. But
I think table talk is just a conversation. Hey, did you see that movie XYZ? Yeah. What'd you think about it? I thought this, and then
or like, what do you think about the gentrification going on
yeah,
here in
and that's the other thing.
Area.
We will reference Raleigh because that's
also
the
like
backdrop
the
to
growth
everything.
of like Raleigh from what it is back then when we first like moved down here or whatever.
Yeah.
Dang, it was something else I was about to say. Totally forgot.
So it's pretty much technology, a little bit of entertainment, which involves music, movies, Netflix. Without the chill, you keep your chill to yourself. But we'll talk about the Netflix.
Talk about the streaming, like the streaming platforms, especially with this Disney Plus.
Yeah, that's another thing we want to touch on. At some current events, we try to stay away from the politics and religious stuff. If we do talk about it, I think we'll just learn how to respect each other's opinion, obviously, and just remain neutral on stuff, but just discuss it. But other than that, I think that's it, man. We were supposed to segue from that. You already bought the beats from me because Lorna introduced us. And I said that Lorna was the person that sort of put us in touch with each other because I was selling beats. I still do beats. And maybe I'll upload some just to be doing something. And I had reference that she is somebody that reminds me, anytime you think of Durham, somebody that's truly from Durham, I think of Lorna every time. And I think I said because, she definitely don't take no mess from nobody, but she was very, very kind, not in a fake way.
Yeah.
She had that, she's definitely Southern. She had that Southern with her, and just, that's what I think of when I think of Durham. But we can talk about Durham in other episodes.
So yeah, it's been a pleasure. First episode, even though, it took us 3 times to try to get this thing right without all the malfunctioning.
Literally, it is 3:45. We started at 11, I'd say 11:50 by the time we got the setup going. Yeah. So we were using the condenser mic the first time, then it didn't record it, then we did it again, then we got kicked out of the doggone.
So if we end up using this recording, it's off the memo app, recording memo app on the iPhone.
Yeah, if it even worked.
Yeah.
So, all right, we are there. We're about 10 minutes to 4. The date is January 11th, 2020. Happy 2020. Happy 2020. So what we'll do is maybe we can preface the next episode will be the official episode where we will have our segments to discuss. And we'll upload both of them, or maybe we'll upload this first so they'll know what to expect. And then, is that
Sounds
it?
like a plan.
Okay, so we're good. And I think maybe we can go into the latter half of when, we kind of moved into marriages, into both of our marriages and our kids. We can follow that up.
Yeah. Because that's what we was talking about in our introduction in the first 2 outtakes. But, yeah, we'll just talk about that in later episodes.
Or we can do it now.
No, I'm good.
You tired of talking, ain't you?
Yeah. And I'm full off the La Farm eatery.
We went to La Farm.
Eatery, right?
I think so. Bakery is something. They got all that type of stuff there.
I had like an egg and a half sandwich.
Yeah.
I just ate too much.
I had bread and some other stuff.
But it was good.
Which, I guess you would call it a sandwich nowadays. Yeah. And some coffee. So, yeah. Anyways. That is it. Thank you for listening to the first episode.
Be sure to subscribe
of the Ox
and the Opus.
I am, who did I say it was? King Conundrum, and that is
Golden Gringo.
The Golden Gringo. No offense, but if you take it personally, subscribe.
Oh, that's what I forgot to mention. So these conversations, is gonna be our personal opinions. And, we'll try to do as much research as we can on the topic, but, don't expect too much.
It's all it is. Yeah, that's what we mean by table talk. It is a conversation we would normally have with each other that we are just sort of formulating to make it more presentable, more digestible, and easier on your palate. And hopefully it's just something that interests you enough to listen. There's a lot of mess you could be listening to. You should invest that time in us, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Haven, you want to say something? He said no. Have a good one.
Thank you.